Alright guys, welcome back to the only Dune Spice Wars guide. You're going to need to be a top level grandmaster at this game with the champ, Cream the Legend. We just finished up our first circuit tournament of 2026. I did manage to win the tournament. Today we're going to be doing the Corrino guide. First round, I played on Corrino. I'm going to show you the first round game. I'm going to walk you through it. You're going to learn a lot about the faction. Corrino, a very good faction. If you're interested in our community in playing in these events, we're going to be rolling out events for some other games as well coming up very shortly. The link for the Discord is in the description below. And with that, let's get started. Let's talk about Corrino for a second. So on my tier guide for um, Dune Spice Wars, Corrino is right at the top. It's behind Smuggler. I put them behind Atreides. A lot of people will put them in front of Atreides. Um, just because of the late game situation with Atreides is very, very good. It's very hard to stop unless there's a smuggler in the lobby because of the ceasefire and the peaceful annexation combination. But Corrino super strong on hedge, super strong politically. Choming, not so much because they don't have the Chom support tech, but they do have a great benefit from Chom called Chom manipulation. It's their T4 yellow in the middle, and that makes their military incredibly strong, and it helps them detect operations really quick. Corrino plays really tight. They don't need a lot of regions to win. But to be in a good spot on Corrino, you need three specials, and that matters on how you drop your base, because Corrino is the only faction in the game that actually gets another main base at 5k hedge that you drop for 100 authority and 3,000 Solari. So their counselors are Gaius, Zumgaran, Fenring, and Irulan. Irulan and Fenring are like your go-to. Fenring allows you to capture POIs anywhere across the map, allows you to steal units, allows you to late game especially steal the POIs for authority. In the early game, he's amazing because he lets you steal all the research POIs across the map, letting you fly through your tech tree faster. Irulan, just great for quirking. It lets you build double of one building in a village, and then you can just quirk out your villages in the game. Corrino's the best for quirking in the game. They're so fun. Like, when you see your initial main base discovery of your villages, figure out how you're going to organize your villages. Get the most Solar, get the most intel, get the most manpower, get the most knowledge out of your villages. Super fun mechanic. They're really fun to play. I mean, like, I don't personally like playing them because I think they're too easy to win with. I like a challenge, but I think for newer players, I think Corrino is a great faction to start with. You can do a lot of work with Corrino, and you can work on different win cons. You can work on your political win con, you can work on your hedge win con, you can try the Chom win con. We'll talk about those as the guide rolls out, but essentially Corrino super strong, a lot of fun. Their army is really good, but we'll get into that. So
Holy Fremen player.
let's just go into the game here. So this was my round one tournament game on Corrino that I spawned in. I got really good quirks in the beginning. I'll tell you about them, and we'll kind of go through each village and the setup on each village. And like the most exciting part about Corrino is when you start out is like seeing what quirk you got on your spice field, right? And I hit a really good one here. So I think I got the versatile quirk on my spice field, and then we go from there. So if we look at the region here, let me slow it down. So when I check it, so if we look at the region on my spice field, I'm gonna get versatile here, right? So I'm gonna tell you exactly how to build out this this village before I build it out. So boom, right there. So this is a really good quirk too, Scab Network. So for every unit that dies on your territory, you get Solari and Versatile. Versatile gives you a plus 20% production bonus if you have one of each color, meaning a red, yellow, and blue in that village. So the best way to build out this village, in my opinion, is to maximize the Versatile quirk. You do a spice harvester, aka refinery, manpower building, double investment office, and double knowledge. With Corrino, you get they don't have maintenance centers, so what you get is I think the tech is called it's a tier two green tech. It's called Imperial Consolidation or Imperial Administration or something like that. If you have 4 buildings of the same color, you get a upkeep reduction. So you want to aim to do that in each village, so because you don't have maintenance centers, right? So that's the way I'm going to build out this village. So after this village is discovered, so my opener for Corrino, pretty standard. I go solid materials, spying logistics, and then I get the first 4 green techs. And then from there, I kind of like find out which way I'm going to go. I do a threat assessment because with Corrino, unfortunately, if you have a Hark, Fremen, or Smug that spawn next to you incredibly early in the game and your villages are far away from your main base turret, if they want to, top level players will kill you, and there's really nothing you can do about it unless somebody comes in to bail you out. And with a lot of times, because Corrino's such a late game powerhouse, they're targeted majority of the game anyway. You're gonna in a good lobby, you're probably gonna be playing like 3v1 the most of the game anyway. So if some, I mean, you could just die, and GG go next, you know. So um, that's one of the downsides of playing a faction like Corrino and Atreides. You can't really do that to Smuggler because Smuggler has no weakness. They're good early, they're good mid, they're good late. But with Corrino and Atreides, they definitely have an early game weakness, especially for Corrino and Atreides. But Corrino, I think Atreides is worse than Corrino, their early game weakness, because Atreides you have to expand out to take spice fields. But with Corrino, if you get good quirks, you can still make plenty of Solari from your, as you're going to see in this game, from your quirks, and you can just sit underneath your main base turret until you get to 5k, drop your second base, get your army out, get your main base buildings out, and then be ready to fight. Atreides doesn't have that luxury. They have to use house gifts, and it's not as efficient in the early game, in my opinion, as Corrino. But anyway, so our next village you're going to see is a water traders village with 3 wind strength and a hard workers. So this is plus 10% bonus, and this gives you Solari for each wind strength. So the best way to build this out is two dew collectors, and then 2 yellow buildings. I chose the wholesale market and Plascrete because Plascrete's great, and then and then investment office and a research hub. You can only do double investment office in one region, so you have to choose which region is that. And I think you get far more value out of the spice field than you do um, this region. So that's our next tile, and then you're gonna see like the next reveal is like crazy. I mean, this is a glass sculptor's bartering customs tile, so this gives you Solari for Plascrete produced in this region, and it's a Plascrete region, and I'm gonna put double Plascrete in here, and then I'm gonna put a spice silo, so that's gonna boost my spice production. I'm gonna put a dew collector, and I'm gonna put a wholesale market. So I'm gonna have 5 yellows and an investment office in here, and this region is gonna make so much Solari. Okay, so that was that, and then this tile is revealed right here. This is a youthful eagerness tile. I mean, this roll was incredible. Like you can only get so lucky, right? But this is a youthful eagerness tile. And youthful eagerness gives you extra manpower, plus 20% manpower production, and lets you build a um, extra recruitment office in there. So with this, with Corrino, I believe the tech is Imperial Consolidation. It's also a tier 2 green tech. Each of the villages surrounding your main base, the quirks are already doubled. And then you add an investment office, it's tripled, and then you can times 4 it if you put double investment office in one of these tiles, and then you can times 5 it if you drop your second main base on the region that's times 4'd. You can then times 5 one region, which some people will do that on like I think the best case scenario for Corrino is a water trader fuel cell region, because with geothermal condensers, if it's like a 4 or 5 wind strength, you put double investment office, two dew collectors, and then 2 fuel cell factories, and you can make like over 500 Solari from one village, or like a polar sink with the water traders on it, double water extractor and double investment office and a propaganda office. Um, so propaganda office is a unique building to Corrino. It allows you to have plus 20% production in one village, and it'll cost you 1 authority. So usually most Corrino players will save those for the late game where they put their crafts workshops. Your best scenario on Corrino is a White Rift with a scholarly trait where you could put double investment office, double crafts workshop, and double propaganda office. and you drop a base next to it, and then it's just like crazy. But that's so rare; it rarely ever happens. You're gonna probably be working with maybe a scholarly special if you're lucky, but more likely than not, you're gonna have a one special in which you're gonna put double crafts and double propaganda office. Just know, like toward the end of the game, your authority production is going to be low because you're going to have 3 or 4 propaganda offices out, depending if you have 2, 3, or 4 specials. If you have 4 specials and you don't win the game, it's crazy. I think for Corrino, 3 specials is the sweet spot, depending on how early you get your crafts. But yeah, this was just an amazing roll. Hopefully, from that little expose, you understand how quirks work. You understand how the Imperial consolidation works on Corrino. 4 of the same color in one village gives you a upkeep reduction. So right now, I'm prioritizing knowledge and plascrete because Irulan gives you an extra building slot. You have 6 slots to fill out. So getting the 6th slot costs 400 plascrete plus the construction cost of the building. Um, so you need a lot of plascrete, right? So I'm gonna have double plascrete in the plascrete. I'm gonna have another plascrete in the village north of my main. I'm gonna put a plascrete that I will sub out later in my fuel cell tile, along with the recruitment offices and the 2 fuel cells. And so your goal on Corrino before the first spice tax is to have 3 villages, ideally super tight around your main base, with great quirks. Um, you're gonna want like 2,000 Solari in the bank, and you're gonna want 500 Plascrete as soon as that first spice tax hits. Why? Because you're gonna A, want to start building your main base building, and B, you want to get 2 or 3 buys in the Chome market while Chome is kind of cheap. Remember, for Carino, you're not trying to win on Chome. You're trying to get as much Chome as you can, because with Chome manipulation tech, for each percentage of the Chome market you own, your military gets stronger. Okay, so I pillaged 2 villages to the west. I have 1.7k in the bank. I'm about to grab my Plascrete tile, build out Plascrete, and now with Carino as a base ability, they are able to apply the Imperial Edict, which means any of these resolutions here, for the cost of a mere 20 influence, I can make all of these either for one faction or for all factions. In this case, I greeted. I saw that I had the most votes, so I wanted infrastructure control for myself. But the lobby, because we're in a tournament game, players are smart. They were like, well, we don't want Carino to have that, so they ended up voting Atreides for infrastructure control, which sucks for me because I have a lot of buildings to build, um, and I greeted, so I paid the price there. Okay. Remember on the Landsrad, this little symbol over here, you always want to put 10 on that just so you get the 10 Landsrad standing. If you're a Landsrad faction, obviously Fremen doesn't care, Smugs doesn't care in the first couple of months until they get their Landsrad. So yeah. Anyway, going along, capturing my 3rd village before Spice Tax, scouting out, and what I'm doing right now with Fenring is I'm grabbing all the POIs on the map, and the ones that are the most important are the research POIs. So basically, your yellow and red research are the most important. Okay. Um, So this is going to be like your standard Corrino hedge game. Remember, Corrino is a super versatile faction. You can base drop somebody. If you kill somebody, if you were in conflict with a player for more than I think it's 60 days, you have your 10k hedge bonus, and you kill their base, you get a 3rd base. So there's a base drop build. If you want to see some base drop gameplay, I have on my lives. Go to there's plenty of games where I've dropped a base, gotten a 3rd base, and then played out the game. Like, what you do with the 3rd base is up to you. You can go for a full domination play. I don't recommend that. I recommend you kill somebody, get your 3rd base, drop it next to a couple of specials, grab those specials. The reason why it's so important to drop the base in the right spot is because with Corrino, the distance amplification for authority cost is higher than every other faction. So the closer something is to your main base, the cheaper it is to capture. So at the end of the game, ideally you have like 2 or 3 regions that are within a reasonable distance of your main. You snag a bunch of authority POIs, and you grab your 3 regions, and you close it out when you're cooking like 70, 80 passive. That is like the base meta play to play Corrino, but they're super versatile. You can gov with them, you can domination with them. You can't really chum with them, but you can easily get up to 30% of the market. It's just that last 20% gets really hard without chum support as a tech, right? So going in here, just building out my villages, quirking, grabbing POIs. I have the most amazing spawn. Nobody is near me. I don't have to worry about a threat unless smugglers decide. Smugglers at any time if he wanted to. He could have come over. He could have come over and he could have like set up an operating base and like made it difficult for me, maybe on the plasticrete tile. The other two tiles are way too close to my main, and my spice field is tucked away in the back. So like this is just phenomenal. I'm trying to farm some experience here for my army. I'm scouting around the map. I have 4 ornithopters out. I go with admin hall in the single slot. Now, the Corrino has a unique main base building called the Monument, which you unlock with your tier 2 green on the right, which is for me like your base on Corrino. You want spying logistics. I like tier 1 yellow. You don't have to get it. You can just snipe a yellow POI early, and you probably will get it for free. Kind of free, right? Without actually researching it, but I like getting it. But with the monument will double your main base district bonus, right? So whatever main base you put your monument in, like you will have double the bonus. So I'm gonna put because like I'm kind of seeing like what's going on here. I'm all alone by myself. Fremen is in the north. He's fighting with Atreides on the west. Smugglers is doing his own thing, stacking offing in the south and in the west. Because I think there's a desolation to our south, which is like incredible. Like it just again, this is one of the best Corrino spawns you'll ever see. Um, you you can decide how greedy you want to play. So I go single slot admin hall. My second main base building will be the monument, and what that's doing is it's doubling the single slot research bonus for yellow. And so what I'm going to do is after I get my greens, I'm going to pivot to yellow and I'm going to blaze through my entire yellow tree before getting any red tech besides whatever I get from POIs. And then I'm going to pivot to red and then I'm going to get crafts. To me, like that's a standard way to play Carino. If you're feeling threatened, you can put like in my opinion, the best combination in the main base is research center and um, monument in the 2 slot because it'll give you that sweet intel production 2 times because of the monument. And with Corrino, you have great operations and you have great quirks, so you can quirk and main base bonus your way into amazing intel production without having to sack agents to put on people, risking them getting captured. And that double blue double district bonus is so good. So I always advise to either go if you're under threat, go single red, double blue with the monument, triple red. If you want to go triple red, double blue, admin hall in the yellow, get some yellow text before you get your red tech is good. But in this case, I just greed the whole thing, and I'm gonna get all my yellow tech before I get any red tech because I was just listening. Like we're in a voice chat together. I'm listening to what's going on. I'm seeing who's fighting who, whatever. I'm playing super greedy. Now, for me, for Carino, they don't have insulated valley. They have integrated costs, which gives you a Solari bonus for each village captured around your main base. So you can most often, like I'm already positive because my quirks are incredible. More often than not, I'm gonna have to be relying on to um, pillage economy to like to get my economy going. So, but in this case, I'm already positive, and I'm about to get integrated costs, which means like I'm gonna be able to buy Chome early, get my main base buildings early, and have 3,000 Solari to drop my main base and 100 authority when I get to 5k hedge. So, like, just absolutely incredible on the quirks and the spawn here. I'm pillaging the villages that I'm going to be capturing in the late game. I'm grabbing POIs with Fenring. I'm blazing through my green techs right now, and I'm going to pivot to yellow. If the bonus comes up for like plus research time for yellow techs, it's even better because it's just synergizing with my build right now. There you go. I start building the monument in the second. 4 ornithopters, in my opinion, is a sweet spot because you start finding POIs, discovering villages, see where you want to drop. Keep in mind, Corrino has one free truce with somebody, um, thanks to absolute power. So you know if there's a Vernius in the lobby, you can just throw him a truce for free. and you get their tech. If a tradies is in the lobby, throw them a truce. They might send you treaties. Um, yeah, I mean, just like, I mean, they have some of the most OP mechanics in the game. There's no question about it. Just super versatile. Great, great, strong faction to play. I do my pillage route. I'm building out my villages. I think a good number. So you just see my Plascrete is 97 right now, and then once Advanced Engineering finishes, which is your tier 2 yellow tech on the right, it just finished. Now I'm getting integrated costs and geothermals. These two techs should fix in a bad quirk game. Should fix your economy because you'll have double fuel cell in a region, which will make you some Solari thanks to geothermal, and then you'll have integrated costs, which will give you Solari for each village captured around your main. Ideally, you have 3 or 4. Then you want to go down to crew training, Cho manipulation. Imperial command is where you get your um, double gear slot for your armory, so you want that. And then like in this game, because I'm going triple blue in the first base, which is incredibly greedy, and I'll talk about that in a second. I want mechanization. They have a unit called an artillery drone, which has super long range and extreme amounts of power. It makes their army really tough to deal with, especially if they're fighting underneath a bunch of turrets. This will also unlock the fusion plant. So in this case, I do get this. I don't necessarily play with the drones in this game because I go for small formation, which is also just a fantastic way to play with their army. You go small formation on their riflemen, and that reduces their CP cost and their lets you get more of them, but it decreases their health. But they have a health sharing ability, and then they have a hero called Wensikia, who I think you should choose every single time. Wensikia's ability basically restores all the conscripts' health for like some measly manpower costs, and you're not going to have any problems with manpower on Corrino usually because you have quirks to get manpower, and you can build double recruitment office in one village. Um, so I do get the mechanization tech because I'm gonna go triple double red in my second main base with the Chome branch in the single slot, and it's just my style right now. Lately, I've been favoring less for artillery drones. However, artillery drones are very useful if somebody has a bunker in front of you. You could just start bunker busting them with like 3, 4 drones, just destroy their turrets, their airfields, their military bases, and then go in with your army. Um, After I get my red tag down to Imperial Protocols, by the way, Imperial Protocols pairs really nicely with small formation because if the Corrino has a numbers advantage in the fight, in the tile in which they are fighting, they will have a damage reduction of like minus 20%. And Wensikia will never die as long as she has units around her. So the people that are targeting Wensikia first in the fight against Corrino are playing really, really poorly because she has so much damage reduction. What you want to do is you want to kill all the riflemen and the conscripts first and the sards, and then go for Wensikia. If you do have flamers in your comp, now flamers are a very unique unit. They give burn stacks to a unit, and in the armory you can give them plus 30% damage to non-mechanical units, and units with burn stacks do less damage on them. They're actually really great for main base killing because the more stacks you add to the main base, the more damage it takes. So they're great at base killing. I think Corrino is the best base killing faction in the game, thanks to that. And so, if you're going for a domination play, you definitely want some flamers in your composition. In this case, there you will see it later, but it doesn't work out so well because things happen. But yeah, so you're gonna go in this game. I'm going full yellow. Then I'm gonna get my reds down to Imperial Protocols. Then I'm gonna get trinkets and Wonders of the Desert. Then logistics, and then anything after that is just a cherry on top. If you do have a Hark in your lobby, you might want to consider going for Emperor's Eyes, which automatically puts 3 agents on counter intel without you having to use your regular agents that you have already. So, I mean, they're like super hard to assassinate anyway because, they don't have a lot of territories compared to some of the other factions that like to build wide and tall and every which way. Corrino likes to just sit on, not too many villages. But that's how you want to play the tech tree on Corrino. Riches of Arrakis, cherry on top. I don't really see myself going for stealth gear, spying, mastery, nefarious contacts on Corrino, not too often. Insider training useful if I'm playing a some kind of cheeky gov play, and then if I can get outpost logistics, trinkets, and all my necessary yellows and reds, and then go for border defenses, it's like crazy. Like the bunkers on Corrino are nuts because you have two turrets per village. If you have a triple bunker, it's like six turrets, seven because it allows you to build one extra in one. So yeah, Corrino, just nuts. Um, Sorry if there's a lot of verbiage in this game. Corrino has a lot of like unique intricacies, like versus like some factions are a little bit more straight up. Like in the Fremen guide, we're just gonna like breeze through the Fremen guide. That's the last guide that we're gonna do because there's like it's just so straightforward. You go in, you stick your thumb down somebody's throat early, liberate a bunch of stuff, and basically have the most fun you could ever have in Dune Spice Wars, in my opinion. But this is Corrino. Um, so buying Chome, I'm crewing out my harvester. I'm building out my buildings. I'm trying to not get bottlenecked on Plascrete. I'm making 100 and it's still not enough. Like I need a lot. So I'm about to build the research center in the 2 slot. Everything's on time. There it goes right there. I'm trying to get experience from my army as much as I can. Now, the reason why I go small formation in this game is because I have a youthful eagerness tile right there. Like that's my youthful eagerness tile, like I'm about to show you here in a second. Right there. So it's already times 2 because it's bordering the main base, and I don't even have to put an investment office in there. So I'm gonna have 4 recruitment offices that are making 20% extra. Uh, it's a lot of manpower. So the only downside to playing small formation on Corrino is that it does take a lot of manpower to re-up your army because you have to build so many of these little scrawny conscripts because they've been weakened. And you're playing without any mechanical units, so it requires all manpower. So if you are playing small formation, just be aware that you're gonna need to have a lot of manpower production, and you want veterancy like as much as you can. So the first thing I'm building out though, like look, there's nobody around me. I don't need manpower right now. This is just ridiculous. The fact that they chose to leave me alone here is to their own detriment. The other thing you want to do on Corrino is you kind of want to see where you're going to drop. So in this case, I have 2 spice fields here. I have Crescent Ridge here, and over here is Imperial Basin, and over here is Sandfall. So you want to pillage where you're going to drop, not necessarily the villages around your drop, because your plan is to capture them, right? So I'm going to pillage this fuel cell. This is where my drop is going to go. Oftentimes, savvy players will know where the Corrino is going to drop, and they will capture the drops before they can happen. So Corrino is unlikely to drop on spice fields and cannot drop on specials. So one strategy against Corrino is you can kind of see where they're pillaging, and based on that, you're like, okay, that's probably where they're going to drop. And you can look at the quirks and see like, okay, that's an amazing quirk. He might drop there just to amplify that quirk. Okay, so nothing much happening from the early game. I see some fighting on the west between Fremen and Atreides. I'm getting my tier 4 yellow. By the way, just so you know, it's the end of month 2, and I'm going to have every single yellow tech, like all my essential green techs. Now some Corinos will get outpost logistics. I don't really need it early that early. I don't care. I favor some of the other techs, but I don't hate it. And I'm going triple blue in the main. Super greedy, but very powerful because if you have a triple blue district in your main base, you're gonna get 200 base votes. Now Corrino has a base vote of 250. Now with the monument, that gets doubled. So you have 400 base votes for Corrino if you have a triple blue with a monument. It's amazing. And what I like to do with Corrino is if I'm playing greedy like this, I basically like to secure myself like the first couple of charters, one of them being Eye of the Council, because Eye of the Council is amazing thanks to those uncapturable agents that can generate you intel if you put them on somebody else, which is what you should do with them. So I'm going to go triple blue here. I have maxed out CP as much as I can get it, and now I'm pivoting to my red tech. And I'm just running around pillaging. Like Smugglers is chilling. I don't know. He's in his own world. So in this game, the smuggler rushed Kraft's workshop. So I'm in a research agreement with him. And when you're in a research agreement with somebody, you will see which text they have. So if you're in a research agreement with somebody, whatever text they've researched, you can see like these little up arrows. That's what they've researched. So if you have multiple research agreements with people, you can't exactly tell who's gotten what. But in this case, I know it's just smugglers. So I'm telling everybody, yo, this guy's Russian crafts. He doesn't have his reds built out, and I can see that he's not going to be a threat to me because like he has just as much army. Maybe he has 5 more CP than me because he has recruitment initiative, but he's playing like a greedy hedge game. So I'm like, all right, fine, play your greedy hedge game. I'm gonna go triple blue and I'm gonna play a greedy chome, green and yellow game, and then we'll see what happens at the end. He throws down a um, smuggler slow operation, poison the reserve. So it's in a neutral village. It's not in an own village. So I don't want to stay in there. I wanted that pillage. He sneaks that pillage off because I'm not going to fight and poison the reserves because my units are just too slow. It slows down your units. So I just decide to run away, hide under the safety of my main base, not lose any army. And I'm just, I have good manpower production. I fill out my harvester here eventually for crew training. So there it is. So I have a full harvester. I'm building out my manpower, and I'm just waiting to get to 5K. I'm buying Chome as I go. My income is excellent thanks to my quirks. It's very very unusual to have this much income, but I have geothermals, I have integrated costs, and I have amazing quirks. So I'm making 141 Solari. I'm about to have a boom in manpower. I'm getting veterancy on my army. I'm letting everybody else fight. I'm getting my triple blue. I'm getting my reds now, and I'm just waiting for 5K hedge, which is going to hit on tax, to drop my main base and start the next set of main base buildings, right? And in the meantime, I'm buying Chome with whatever Solari I have that's in excess of 3,000 because it takes 3,000 Solari to drop your main base. Very, very, very easy Corrino game. And, to get this in a tournament was extremely fortunate with these kind of quirks. I mean, I've before, like, been playing a lot of Age of Empires 4, but like I know that I was getting extremely frustrated with the um, spawns that I was getting as Corrino because I just could not get a spawn that I enjoyed. Also, just be careful if you do get a spawn. I said nothing to anybody. I was like, oh man, I didn't say anything about the spawn because I don't want to raise any alarms. Be like, oh dude, look at his quirks, look at his spawn, it's incredible, blah blah. I get one final pillage off on the region in which I'm gonna drop, which is what I advise for you guys. If you know you're going to drop it, just pillage it one more time if the pillage isn't too far away from being reset. That way you just get that extra Solari. Um, I'm making 10 intel. I have 600 intel in the bank right now. I'm going to be getting my orbital strikes going, especially when I capture a strong network village up north. There's my base drop. So I drop my base and I'm continuing to farm experience and Solari from the villages that I want to pillage. And I'm getting ready to pivot to crafts myself after Imperial Protocols is done. So as soon as that base drops, I'm able to build out the rest of my main base buildings. And in this case, I'm going triple red, double red, Cho Market branch in the single. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to capture Crescent Ridge now. It's got the Industrious quirk on it. Okay, so there's the armory upgrades. So you can see it's small formation and then live reformation. And then I think it's called like something compounds, like hazardous compounds, and then exotic compounds. And I'm not getting any on my arty drone. I'm getting minus 10%, and I'm getting the battlefield frenzy. I think the third armory upgrade, the cleave on the starter car, it doesn't proper functionally, which is a real regret because starter car is a unique unit that executes something when it gets to a certain health. Like they just die. They don't have to kill the remaining of its health. So if that upgrade even worked, they'd be even more OP. So maybe it is fortunate that it doesn't work properly. So the Industrious quirk allows me to build one extra Plascrete factory in this village. So I'm going to build 2 Plascrete factories in Crescent Ridge because right now at this point in the game, I'm about to capture another set of villages around my main base, right? So that means 6 more slots that have to be filled out. Later in the game, you're going to want to get rid of your plasticrete production and replace them with wholesale markets and or whatever else is useful. Because once you overcome the bottleneck of plasticrete, it becomes pretty much a useless. It goes from being the most useful resource to being absolutely useless in the end of the game. So I decided to prioritize capturing Crescent Ridge. It does get me closer to 10k, at which point I can get my hero out and I can confidently take fights with Winsikia out. She's so good. Do I want to say she's the best hero in the game? You can easily make the case for her being the best hero in the game. Easily. Um, the quest on the left is for a Sardaukar after killing 8 militia, so I'm going to grab that. Don't have to recruit that Sardaukar. Continuing main base build out, triple reds going down. That's Mundu Vale right there. So my game plan here is I'm going to eventually have to take a third special, and in the middle, the Fremen bunkers, where he's capturing now, is Imperial Basin. So I'm gonna later take Sandfall, and then I'll be cooking on 3 specials, which will yield me, I believe, 73 passive hegemony, which is a fantastic number, and that's enough to close the game out because I decided to get crafts before any blue tech after my red. Sometimes you want to get Emperor's Eyes first if nobody's cooking. But I actually lately I've been thinking about it. The more you delay your crafts, you can put yourself in a situation where you cannot cook enough and cannot cap enough for the people that got crafts earlier, even if you're making a number, just because you'll never have as many villages compared to everybody else. Like by this time in the game, I'm at 8.6. Fremen is at like 12 or 13, and he's got like double the villages that I have. Anyway, these guys are starting to realize, like, okay, this guy's a monster. So Fremen is just like sitting over there, and I have to pick my engagements very carefully here. I don't have Winsikia. I'm close to 65 CP. I get to 65 now, and now Smuggler's gonna come over and take Mundu Vale, and I'm talking to Fremen, and I'm like, "Are you okay with this?" And Fremen is obviously okay with this, even though I think at this point the Fremen and the Smuggler are clearly in the lead. They're kind of starting to recognize like what's happening here. Like I'm buying a lot of Chom. I'm at like 22% at this point, which means my army's juicier, is beefier. I'm researching crafts, and now they're coming in after me. So Smuggler's gonna pillage here. I'm okay with the pillage as long as he doesn't liberate. So I'm just gonna sit there. I could see the Fremen is just waiting to dive in. You can see him just waiting there in his territory. So I'm strategically not taking this engagement. Plus, I get hit with gear regs here as well. And this is the first Landsrat Council where they realize that I have 400 base votes. I'm sitting on 1,000 votes right here. So I just use my base votes for the Smuggler bounty, which makes me a lot of money, and I save my influence because I want Eye of the Council. So now Eye of the Council is prioed. I prio Eye of the Council. And Smuggler gets a pillage off on my spice field, which is really good for him if he used the UHQ properly, which I hope he did. So now the Fremen's asking me to wipe Smuggler, but I'm gear wrecked, bro. But we'll see. Because Smuggler at this point has been cooking for months. I just get to 10k. Now I get Winsikia out. So now I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better about taking an engagement. And I'm starting to produce crafts workshops on Crescent Ridge. But I want Mundu Vale. However, I don't have Wonders of the Desert yet. So I'm going to choose to liberate Mundu Vale so I don't have to pay the extra authority cost to capture it. And I'm going to capture the Spice Field up north. So even though I'm gear regged, I don't care. The first thing I do is I destroy the military base. And right here, the Fremen is attacking Smuggler because at this point he's like cooking like 40 or 50. He's like 2 or 3k ahead of everybody. And he's asking me to use Interdiction Zone. So Corrino has a unique operation, 200 Solar, 200 Intel called Interdiction Zone. It's an amazing operation. it cancels airfield, so you cannot use your airfield while the operation is active. Smuggler, of course, is Comm Jam, which is the best operation in the game. So, and he also has Extraction Network, which means like it doesn't affect Smuggler as heavily as it does other factions, and Fremen doesn't have airfields at all, so it doesn't affect him at all. But it can be a minor inconvenience, and I figure you guys would like to know what that operation does. Um, so I take this fight. I destroy his airfield here. I think the smuggler has used the extraction network, so he's going back to his main base. And you can just see I built my Space and Guild branch. So what you want to do with Corrino, if you can, major buildings get upkeep reduction if they're bordering a main base. So ideally, you have a handyman tile, and then you build a main base building using that handyman tile. And your first main base building is likely going to be a spacing guild branch because you want to get out your Chronos, which the Chronos, as far as a flagship goes, probably the like I mean Corrino's so good. They have the best, arguably the best hero and arguably the best flagship in the Chronos because it's a mobile airfield, man. I mean it's just like it's so good. And it heals outside of combat. You don't even have to go to your village to heal it. So, yeah, your first main base building probably going to be your um, Space and Guild branch. Later, you're going to want a nuke, possibly a military factory, possibly an alloy furnace in between two amazing spice fields to juice your economy. So, yeah, I mean, just a very versatile faction, very good. Everybody loves to hate them, and there's good reason for it. So I have an orbital queued, second best, third best operation in the game, maybe after Comms Jam and Ceasefire. Like they're just so good, man. Their only real Achilles heel is the early game, where if somebody chooses to want to kill you, they can, because there's nothing you can do about it if your main base villages are a little far outside of the turret. Fremen getting bodied by the smuggler here. I throw a orbital in there to kind of like help the Fremen out. I'm liberating now because he has Stakhanov, which actually might be the best counselor in the game. Like it's again arguably like the best three counselors are Jessica, Stakhanov, and Irulan. Fenring was like a close fourth or fifth. You know, if you throw Kudu in there, but like um, because he has Stakhanov, I just have to sit here for 14 in-game days, which is crazy annoying. I don't want him to send any stealth-free company over here to reset the timer, waste any more of my time. I don't have Wonders of the Desert, so capturing that tile is not reduced by 20%, which because it's a special, which Wonders of the Desert does. So here comes the Eye of the Council vote. I'm going to grab it here. That's 3,000 Solari, Landsrat standing, and those two agents that are going to generate intel. Now, what you want to do is your most valuable use of Fenring is one of those counselors whose utility does not fall off no matter no matter what point in the game you're in. Because in the early game, research POIs. In the mid game, research POIs and or authority POIs. In the late game, authority POIs and or unit POIs like the mercenary camps and the hiring the whatever, right? The Fremen warrior. Like so his utility is endless. I don't know. You could even make an argument that he's the best counselor in the game. Is really good. And Gaius and Zumgaran, like they have their uses. Like if you want to play a cheeky Gov play, bring Gaius and Irulan. If you want to play like lobby cop and you don't want to front run hedge at all, bring Zumgaran. I mean, he gives you 15% power bonus for every faction you're in truce with. So like they don't have like a terrible counselor like a Shamoom type of counselor, and they have two S tier counselors, and then they have two A tier counselors. So really good versatile stuff. Okay, that village that I'm capturing is a strong network tile. Amazing. +1 intel for each blue building. I'm gonna put 5 blue buildings in there with an investment office. So that's like incredible amounts of intel generation just there. And continuing to buy Chome, pushing Smuggler out. Fremen now capturing Sandfall for me is going to become a problem later. And if we look at that Landsrad, I got like everything I needed in that Landsrad. And so I'm pretty comfortable with my position. I'm cooking 41 already just off one special. Again, the power of Corrino, which is double craft, double prop office. I'm okay with sacrificing two authority for the extra crafts production. But I think at this point I only have one propaganda office in, so it's only one authority. And then once you get your outpost logistics, which I choose to get later, a lot of players will choose to get it earlier. And there's no wrong way to do it, no right way to do it. Just keep in mind, if you get it earlier, you're going to be able to grab more regions, become more of a nuisance, and you're already. I just got it now, so you can see I put my third agent on Arrakis now. I mean, you're already going to be a target. Do you really want to be an extra target? It's up to you, however you want to play. Corrino is one of those factions that can effectively front run in 3v1 for a long time and still win the game. So it depends what your comfort level is. So I'm buying Chom, I'm pillaging the Siege, and things are looking really good. Even though Smuggler is, pretty heavy in the lead, um, I'm bumping up Judge. I don't want the Eye of the Council to come up again, so I get to keep it for at least another cycle. Maybe it'll get bumped up later. So I'm going to pillage the Siege, which is going to give me some authority. I'm going to get Eye of the Council here. I mean, the Judge of the Council, and then I'm going to grab Mundu Vale when it becomes available. And then as far as like the hedge race goes, uh, I am comfortably in third, right? And so Fremen's going to come in and try to do some shenanigans here. I drop an orbital on him, soften him up a little bit. He's like, I don't want none of that smoke. So he's going to dip out. And I get Mundu Vale. I thought maybe he thought about capturing Mundu Vale, but like there's no way in any world I will allow that. I already have double turret there. And Fremen just soaking up some missiles, has to wait until the operation's done, maybe worm out of there. Smuggler gonna come in and try to pillage me. I deny the pillage. I'm making close to 500 Solari a day on a low exchange rate with crafts workshops in, with stupid amounts of manpower production. Like I'm making 34 manpower production. It's actually higher because the village is being pillaged right now. That number is lower than it should be. It's at 41. And by the way, I only have one real manpower village. The other one, I do have manpower production in my versatile spice. But just think about this. I have 41 manpower production from two villages. That's also again the power of Corrino. So Fremen's gonna come in here. He has a pretty good comp. Like, let's talk about matchups. Like Corrino is really weak against Fremen militarily if the Fremen knows how to play right. Because you have like a skirmisher heavy composition and you target the riflemen, the Corrino army gets evaporated. Also, if they choose to run Chani, which I don't recommend, you don't even have to run Chani to do this. You could perfectly do this with Oathame. That way you don't have to build your entire army around fighting one opponent because there's three other ones on the map. But the Fremen matchup for Corrino is not a good one. The Smuggler matchup for Corrino is not a good one either. And maybe it's a little better if you run small formation with Wensikia, but if you're running drones, just keep in mind that the Smuggler has free company which ignore armor, and they can just backline your drones with 3 free company. Then once your drones are dead, those free company will run on your backline, kill all your range while the scabs and the snipers and whatever hero, usually Drisk, are taking out your front line. So Smug and Fremen, not a good matchup for Corrino. Atreides, pretty easy to deal with unless you're fighting on his territory. ECAS can be tough, but I think the small formation and or drones are both viable against ECAS. Hark, you're their natural counter because you execute their executioners with the Sardaukar. And then Vernius has a like there's just the if you kit out your army for anti-Vernius, which is all riflemen and Munsikia, there's literally nothing that they can do. But overall speaking, like just make sure you have a scan. You don't have to do that to win a fight against Vernius. Just know that you can if you're desperate. But they do fine even without doing that. Just make sure you have a scan if they're running Kater. You can just scan to kill the engineers first, because once the engineer is dead, the Vernius is pretty easy. By the way, I want you to see that. I'm using Fenring right now. You can see this authority POI right here. I snagged that. I have plenty of plascrete. And that's the amazing thing about the plascrete production. 126 plascrete production while building out my villages. I still have a 1k surplus. So in case there are sorry guys, my headset turned off there, but Just in case there are any POIs like that to grab, you can grab them and still continue to build out your main base building. So very fun stuff with Fenring. Well, the next Landsrat Council's up, and you can see the hedge numbers. I'm in a comfortable third, cooking 57. 57 passive, about to get that number up a little bit. Uh, not the obvious target, which is what you don't want to be the obvious target. Um, I'm just getting veterancy on my units as much as I can. Building my Chronos, which is going to come out here shortly. 65 CP. Army comp looking like this. It's 4 Sards, Wensikia, 2 melee conscripts, and the rest are ranged conscripts. And yeah, now I'm choosing because Fremen's at 22k. I gotta make a move. I'm 4k behind. That's too much to make up the gap in passive. So we're gonna slow this down. I want you to understand how important what it is I'm about to do here is. So I take out his militia. I take out the turret that he built here. And what I did here was I frontlined with Wensikia. And that's what you want to do. Look who goes into the fight first. Like with Fremen, you don't want to frontline with Oathame. With most of your other heroes, you don't want to frontline because you want to preserve them. Maybe Whitmore is a good frontline hero. But Wensikia is so good because she has damage reduction for each unit that's out. So with Wensikia, you want to frontline because she takes barely any damage. Now, if I was a little better at it, I'd keep all my units in the back so I take no turret shots. Okay, now I'm capturing Sandfall. Bro's about to worm in, right? I know he's going to worm in. There's really nothing I can do. There's no way I could position my units to avoid his Fedaykin cleaving all of my conscripts. So I mean, ideally, what you want to do is maybe you want to split them if you have that kind of micro. I'm trying. It's not happening here. So what I'm gonna do is, as soon as he worms in, I'm gonna activate the Wensikia ability because it's gonna instant heal all of that initial damage that he's about to deal to me before I get wiped clean. If you can pull that off, you can maybe swing the fight against Fremen as Corrino. However, a better Fremen player is going to be able to kill you no matter what. Even if you drop an orbital, he's just going to sidestep the orbital, and then he's going to re-engage with your army on the border going in and out. Okay? So while I'm doing this, Smuggler's going to take the opportunity to, okay, here comes, look how fast, let's just go in like slow-mo. Look how much damage the Fremen does in a short amount of time. We're going half the time speed. You got to be careful as Corrino. Okay, look, one unit's about to die here. I have Wensikia highlighted as fast as I could, and then I go and I hit that, and I lose. Did I lose 1 or 2 rifles? I didn't lose a single rifle before I activated that ability. I mean, that is so good. I don't know if this is his max army or not, but I gotta get those skirmishers because those for Corrino are what the problem is. And I'm also eating my own orbital too, but so is he. And that's just something that I have to do to make sure that I win this fight. So I've lost a good amount of units, not everything, but I didn't get wiped, which I think if the Fremen had a more anti-Corrino composition. I'm also max vet on a lot of these guys. It's just a shame to lose all these, but I'm remaxing right away, and it's a great fight for me, and it's ultimately going to yield me the Sandfall, which I'm going to need to close out the game. I run out. I leave Wensikia and a couple of Sarge in there to heal, and to capture the village so I can heal the rest of my units, and now I have to go deal with the smuggler. So I send the heaviest damage units to heal at the base, and I'm still eating an orbital, which really sucks. Like I could have maybe done a better job of getting it away from the buildings, but whatever. So I'm about to remake the orbital. We'll see if I'm a good player. I capture Sandfall. I rebuild it out immediately for what I need. I'm getting my quest. That's another, trade Plascrete for Spacing Guild parts, so that's good. I built the nuke. The nuke is essential for late game. So I built a nuke, and now watch how I'm gonna engage here against the smuggler. Now, the smuggler player, like it's Wyvern, he doesn't like to take fights. He would rather preserve his army. You're not gonna know that about the person that you're playing against, but in this case, I expected him to take this fight. I don't know why he ran, but it's better to trade out some of my max vet stuff, but maybe he doesn't want to lose his max vet stuff. But either way, I go in one sick gift first, right? And he's got an operating base here, so he's gonna heal up his units. I'm gonna heal up my units, but again, that allows me to rebuild my militia and to get my turrets back online. And so I think when we eventually do fight, he baits out a couple units and then he flies away because he's under pressure from Atreides, which allows me to go in, instantly kill the airfield, and now I'm going to be sitting in this tile for 14 in-game days, which is like the worst feeling ever because of stacking off. So we're just going to fast forward that because it is so boring. Nothing really extremely interesting happening in the Landsrad, um, because it's a hedge game, right? So my Kronos is out, and just remember, like, you want to use hotkeys. I use 5 for flagships, 4 for hero, and then the rest of the other kind of units, whatever combination you want. I do have a new cooked, so I have a new cooked for the end of the. I'm cooking it right now for the end of the game. So these guys are fighting. I'm liberating Smuggler, at which point is totally legitimate. But if you look at the score, Fremen is 22.9. I'm 22.2, cooking 72. I really like my position here. I like it a lot. I do make a mistake in this game with the Kronos because I do eventually, you can see it starting to fly down south. I needed to fly to the smuggler base, and now I'm just using Fenring. I'm capturing all these unit POIs on the map, and I'm trying to grow my army in size beyond 65 CP by hiring these units that are found on the map through POIs. Okay, so I send Fremen Sards. He kind of realizes that Sandfall is a lost cause. Smuggler's at 24.2. He's got stacking off everywhere, which is super dangerous. You don't want to wait until the last spice tax for Smuggler. I'm getting another Raider camp right there that I will grab, I hope, um, because it's free units. That I'm making 1,000 Solari a day. I have like 35% chom. My army is clapping right now. It's clapping cheeks if anybody was to go up against me because I have the military bonus plus the chom manipulation bonus. And now we got to make a move against Smuggler because Smuggler is also cooking a high number. And there you go. I grab those units. I'm grabbing more units, probably more POIs. I grab a region of my own because I was floating some authority there. I didn't want to be at 500. You never want to be floating 500 authority unless you're just waiting to close out the game. But yeah, so Fremen is in there. He's fighting. He's also assassinating Smuggler at this time. Now, I actually did not know that. It just happened to be a fortunate time for architectural surveys to come up. So I actually make an attempt to kill Smuggler with the Kronos. That doesn't actually go great, but we can dissect that fight. You can see I'm rebuilding my army. I'm getting rid of some of the um, conscripts to get 2 flamers in there so I can add burn stacks to his main base. And I was kind of hoping that Fremen would do a better job of engaging Smuggler here, but he really does. Like, you don't want to engage Smuggler like that. You want to have like 2 warriors and a fed, and then you want to worm in on his army with the rest of it, and then like force him to not be able to kite with his snipers, even if he has the Wraith out. That would be the best way to do it. Fremen not actually doing that. So there's architectural surveys. I've got like 1,000 votes. So I throw it on Smuggler, and I'm gonna fly over, uh, and with my Kronos, which he actually sniped, but I had enough parts for a second one. One thing that I forgot to mention is that the reason why the Kronos spawned up there is because I can use allies airfields, which is another crazy stupid tech that Corrino is that's so good. Thanks to the tier 2 red on the left, Imperial Command. So if you're allied with somebody, you can use their airfields. Just keep in mind, if you're allied with Corrino and you're maybe about to win the game, Corrino can fly to your main base. So just being allied with Corrino is a double-edged sword because, hey, on the one hand he can give you starter cars, right, and then on the other hand he can just fly over and kill you, or he could like fly to your airfields to help you fight somebody on your border. um, just be careful because that airfield tech is crazy. So here comes the Kronos, and I'm gonna fly over. Uh, with the Kronos, if you have it hotkeyed, just keep in mind the G key is the deploy key in this game. There's not a lot of hotkeys in this game. There's no attack move or anything like that. But if you there you see I activate the airfield. I'm flying over, and ideally in this case I'm gonna use the Kronos to tank the main base. So I throw the this was kind of a bait. So I wanted to bait out the comms jam because I'm gonna win this fight anyway because I have way too many units for smuggler. I'm not fighting underneath the wraith, and if I am, it's not gonna matter. Um, and I need to drop supply drop on his main base, so I need to make sure he doesn't have comm jam. And so that's done. So you can see smugglers here is gonna get pretty wiped, but I think he targets the flamers, which I try to save, but just a little too late on that one. Um, There is his free company. That flamer's being kited to the back. I'm tanking with the Kronos, the main base turret. I don't have a defense breach, which I could have easily had because I have 1,000 intel just sitting there doing nothing. Um, I don't have an admin burden either, which would have been like much better. But this the planning for this was kind of shot. I do activate the Wensiki ability to heal up whatever conscripts are left. And now I'm putting stacks onto the base and I'm remaxing and I'm using the airfield, the Kronos airfield to put my units back into the fight. But because of no admin burden, he's able to spawn a bunch of stealth free company and basically just wipe me. And I'm not like finishing off those units because I don't have any ranged units left. They're all up north. He basically, I'm just trying to scare him here because what's happening during this time is he's actually getting assassinated, and and Fremen has sieges. Like you can see these Fremen units coming. He didn't clear out the sieges, which I think was a mistake by Wyvern. Um, and there he goes. He spawns a bunch of stealth free company. At that point, it's like, all right, we got to abort mission here. So that Kronos is dead, but I'm gonna try to get out as many units as I can while he's fighting some of these Fremen units. When Sikia goes, she dies, and but what this did was it bought time for him to have to drop regions because he was getting assassinated. But even still, even if he wasn't, he does have a bunch of captures that he can get. But so do I. I have two captures, and I'm only 300 hedge behind him, which is a pretty decent spot to be in. But I put like if he doesn't have to drop here, the Atreides player in this lobby, he was a last minute sub into the tournament. He wasn't too experienced, so he wasn't really like annexing the stuff that he should be from either me or Smuggler. But so there you go. He had to drop. I sent Fremen some intel for the assassination, and now I'm in the lead. And now this is like the best spot to be in as Corrino. 26k, basically one tax until the game closes, and two captures and a quest. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm a shoe in for the finals because this is exactly where I want to be. So I pillage the last siege, which by the way, I actually was allied with this siege. This was commercial hub, which was giving me plus 10% Solari production. Bremen never spawned in here. Even if he did, it's like, what's he gonna do? He's between two main bases. Maybe he can try to liberate or be annoying. I have orbitals. I didn't care, but I did save that siege until the end. I'm gonna pillage it. I have 348 authority. You can see I'm not making so much authority because I have at this point I have 4 propaganda offices, so that's -4 authority, even if I have plus 20% agents on my Arrakis information. So I'm only making 6. So I oppose water regulations. That would be absolutely catastrophic. Even though there was a bounty on it for me to, even though I don't have a lot of villages, I need all of my authority because I need to capture 2 villages. And at this point in the game, to capture 2 villages for Corrino is extremely expensive because you already have your main base rings on both main bases filled out. I managed to hit 41% Chom in this game, which is just icing on the cake because I'm not really going to win on Chom, but my army is just slapping so hard right now in case anybody wants to fight me. I split off a couple of units. I'm going to capture that one village on the west, and I'm going to wait for the siege pillage to finish to get the authority I need to capture the village on the south. And I'm gonna nuke even though I don't need to. And the reason why I'm gonna nuke at the end is because I have the betray quest that says if I betray somebody, I get a Bene Gesserit agent. And of course, with any of these quests that come up on the west, right here, with any of these quests, I get 300 hedge. So after it's all said and done, after the two captures, after the quest, I'm at like 29.7, right? And then I see Fremen trying to capture that. I was gonna nuke somewhere no matter what, just to get the quest, right? But it makes it all the sweeter when there's people fighting and they're maybe getting some kills with the nuke, just being annoying. 29-9, and that's a wrap, and that's a dub in a tournament on Corrino for you guys. Basic Corrino gameplay there. Great. I mean, Hedge is just the way I think you want to go. You always want to contest land, and everybody, for me, like in my games, when they see me on Corrino, like, oh, he's got 1,000 base votes. We need to stop him because he's gonna gov. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. You're gonna attack me anyway, either for hedge or for gov. But for me, I'm never really trying to gov on Corrino. I'm always trying to hedge, and I'm always trying to be as annoying as I can in the chome market, just to make sure somebody else doesn't win on chome. Because if somebody's choming, they're gonna chome before hedge is up, because Chome is a faster win condition. I hope you guys are liking the guides. I think I have the Fremen guide for sure. Bonus guide, depending if I'm feeling like it. The late game mastery guide. I think I'll do it for you guys. I think I'll do it. The late game mastery guide, and then the final commentary, which is already recorded. We recorded it on the day of the tournament after the finals, which was this past Sunday. Again, I was fortunate enough to get the win on that tournament. First round Corrino, which was this game. Second round, which was Fremen, which was absolutely an electric game. I think we can do a Fremen guide with that game for the next guide. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. It's a great game, Dune Spice Wars. Leave me a comment if you guys have any questions. I will respond to them. That's the beauty of being a small content creator. I probably will see your comment and I probably will respond. Join our community for events. We're going to be doing some events for Dune Spice Wars, obviously, and then a couple other games. And then we will see you guys for the next video so you guys can be champions at this game too. Bye.